Good morning, good afternoon and good evening all. This is Yorkie, I hope you're doing well. For our in-depth track guide this week, we're looking at Singapore. Unfortunately it's a track that I'm relatively weak at, but still I managed to get a half decent lap in for this video. Let's take a look at that lap now. Okay, so let's move on to the breakdown. For the start of this lap, the last corner is quite tricky. We need to try and maximise the speed throughout the corner and out the exit, get your DRS open as soon as possible and start draining as much curves as possible. The finish line comes up rather quick, so we're going to keep to the right hand side as we come down to turn 1, looking for our braking point at the 100 metre board. As we come in and hit the braking point, we're going to brake relatively hard. We're going to shift down into second gear, we're going to turn in about 25 metres before the corner, and we're going to look to get our apex clipping the curb on the inside just here. We don't want to take too much curb though, as we want to maintain traction throughout the corner, so that when we come out through the exit we can give a short burst of the throttle, shift up into third gear as we come through turn 2. Our braking point for turn 3, the tight left hand hairpin, is at the end of the pit exit. It's a white line that runs across the width of the track. We're going to use that as reference. We're going to brake down into first gear, and we're going to turn the car in, and you're aiming to only just about kiss the curb on the inside. The curbs in Singapore are usually quite high, and bouncing over them can quite easily unsettle the car. So coming out through the exit, we'll let the car drift over to the right hand side of the track, get your DRS open, bring it back left as we come through turn 4, approaching turn 5. Our braking point is about 60 metres before the corner. You can see the 50 metre board there on the left hand side. I use that as reference. We're going to brake down into second gear. You're going to turn the car in. Again, you want to try and avoid the curb on the inside if possible, but you can just about kiss it on the inside, bounce over the curb slightly. Try and maintain the speed throughout the corner, let the car drift over to the left hand side of the track, kiss the curb on the outside, open up your DRS and start draining to about 50% curves. As we're approaching turn 7 now, we're looking for our braking point at the 100 metre board. You want to be on the right hand side of the track. We're going to brake hard, we're going to shift it down into second gear, turn the car in, and once again we're aiming to look for the inside curb. This one you can take quite nicely, so we're going to bounce over that. We're going to let the car drift over to the right hand side of the track on the exit, and then we're going to line ourselves back up again, ready for turn 8. Our braking point is again 60 metres before the corner. We've got DRS open at this point, so we'll have to brake relatively earlier to compensate for that. I'm going to shift it down into first gear. Ideally you want to avoid clipping the curb on this corner, as it's very easy to clip that curb, unsettle the car and just give you understeer, head straight into the barrier on the exit. So as we miss it, we're going to let the car come over to the left. We're going to bring it back right, open up your DRS again, ready for turn 9. Our braking point is about 55-60 metres before the corner. Once again, we've got the 50 metre board there on the right hand side. Clipping this, we're going to shift it down 1 gear. We're going to turn the car in. Again, try to avoid the curb if possible, but you can use a very small amount. Just try not to take too much off the other side. As we come out of the exit, you want to let the car drift out wide, get your DRS open as soon as possible as we come down now towards turn 10. Our braking point is just after the 100 metre board. We're looking for the white arrow markings on the road. We're going to use those. So hitting that point, we're going to brake hard, shift it down into second gear. You're going to miss the first curb on the inside. You want to be roughly getting your front left wheel here, or actually the middle of the car, at this point marked here. We're going to miss the curb entirely. We're going to clip the second and third curb. So the second one, we're going to take quite a bit off it. We're going to bounce over the curb a little bit, which will give us a nice line ready for the final curb. So as we bounce over that, we're going to turn the car in. We're aiming to clip the red and white curbing, try and avoid the orange curbing there on the inside. We're going to clip that, and we're going to let the car run out wide. We're going to give a short burst of throttle. I'm going to quickly lift off a very small amount of brake as we come into turn 11 and turn 12. For turn 11, you want to avoid the curb entirely on the inside. It's better to avoid it as it'll give you a nice line ready for turn 12. Turn 12, we're going to dip the wheel, the front left wheel, to the other side of the curb. We're going to take a little bit off, but also maintaining at least 2 wheels inside the 2 white lines in the confines of the track. Coming out through the exit, we're going to get DRS open and going to bring the car left and then back right, ready for turn 13. Our braking point is about 55 metres before the corner. It's an awkward braking zone and it's very easy to lock the front right wheel, as I do so here, but I managed to get away with it, just about missing the apex. Again, you want to avoid the curb if possible. Without that lockup, I would have been a little bit tighter to the curb, as you should be. As we come out through the exit, we're going to use the extra tarmac on the outside, open up your DRS, and you're going to drain about 30-40% of your curves. Bring the car back left for turn 14. Our braking point is at the 100 metre board. This is a tight 90-degree right-hander, so we're going to brake relatively hard. We're going to shift it all the way down into first gear. We're going to turn the car in relatively late, and for this one you have 2 choices. You can either take the curb on the inside, as I do so here, or you can avoid the curb entirely. Avoiding the curb entirely is usually the better option. Just come out through the exit, use the curb on the outside, get your DRS open again, bring the car back over to the right for turn 15. As we bring it back into the apex for turn 15, this is our braking point for turn 16. It's about 70-80 metres before the corner. It's just before the 50 metre board pops up. We're going to shift it down into second gear. We're going to turn the car in. This is where the curves start to get a little bit smaller, so you can start riding them once again. You're going to clip the curb on the inside just here. We're going to compensate for turn 17. I take a relatively early apex. I'm going to slowly unwind the wheel as we come out the corner and let the car drift over to the right hand side, but it is quite easy to clip that wall. So we want to try and avoid doing that if possible. Open up your DRS again. Keep to the right hand side for turn 18 and 19 where we go underneath the grandstand. Our braking point is about 65, maybe 70 metres before the corner. We're going to brake hard, we're going to shift it down into first gear. This is a curb where you can quite nicely bounce over the top of it. So we're going to do exactly that. You need to keep it relatively tight, try and stay off the power throughout this corner. As we come underneath the grandstand now, we're going to bring the car over to the left, then we're going to flick it back right. We're not going to really touch the brakes, it's just going to be a little bit of a lift off. As we come through turn 19 now, this is our apex. You want to clip this curb quite nicely. You want to unwind the wheel, let the car drift over to the left hand side of the track. Get your DRS open as we come now down to turn 20. This is the braking point. It's at the end of the white road markings. They do stop and they turn to a darker grey. So use that as the braking point. Turn the car in. Aiming to get a nice clipping point just here on the inside curb. It's quite easy to run over it, but also it's nice to avoid it. It'll give you a nice line through turn 21, which is near enough flat out. It should be flat out, as I gave a slight lift on the entry and throughout the duration of the corner, as I wasn't feeling too confident with the car being hooked up right now, but we're going to apply more and more throttle, let the car drift out wide, get your DRS open as soon as possible as we come down to the final corner. Our braking point is at the end of the orange and white barrier on the outside, just before the 50-meter board. Seeing that, we're going to tap the brake, shift it down into 4th gear, throw the car in. You want to avoid the curb on the inside, as hitting that will send you way off wide into a slight side. So to maintain speed and flow throughout the corner, we're going to avoid it. Just keep the car completely flat out, get your DRS open as soon as you feel comfortable, and obviously drain the curves to complete your lap. So as you can see throughout that video, and also as I was constantly mentioning, the curves in Singapore are really high. That's why I tend to run slightly higher suspension setups, just in case I do want to use the curbs. Generally it's better to avoid using them. There are some that you can quite easily get away with bouncing over the top, but quite a lot of them can actually hinder your lap, send you off wide in towards barriers, and make it a little bit more difficult for you through the tight corners. I've tried to mention the ones to avoid, but obviously it's also down to personal preference and driving style, so it's a good idea to fiddle with your lap, see how it goes, testing out each different curb. So that concludes this in-depth track guide. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Please give a rating to the video, and of course don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more F1 content in the future. I hope to see you soon, guys. Take care.